Sophie, hello there. Good evening. Welcome to Look North on the programme tonight. After the death of a foster carer killed by a boy she was looking after, a coroner criticises Rotherham Council.
Our mum was dedicated to protecting vulnerable people. She did so with strength, compassion and an unwavering sense of duty. Yet when it mattered the most, the same system she gave so much for did not protect her in return.
We have the full story from court. Also tonight, 17 years in jail for a York man who shot his wife and stabbed her as she called police. Let them wear trainers, the medical professional calling for an end to outdated school footwear policy. And fresh from their career-spanning set at Glastonbury, Shed 7 frontman Rick Witter joins me in the studio.
More sunshine to come over the next couple of days. The weekend's looking more unsettled, but for the very latest forecast, join me at the end of the programme.
Hello, thank you for your company this Wednesday evening. We start with Rotherham Metropolitan Borough Council's failings contributed to the circumstances that led to the incident that killed Sheffield foster carer Marcia Grant, who died when a child in her care ran over her. That's the conclusion from a coroner at the end of an inquest. The 12-year-old boy was sentenced to 2 years in youth custody after pleading guilty to causing death by dangerous driving. Today, the coroner said if proper processes had been undertaken, he would not have been placed with the Grant family. Abigiola reports.
Marcia Grant was an experienced foster carer with a loving family of her own when she died in April 2023 outside her home in Sheffield, reversed into by her own car. It was being driven by a 12-year-old boy she was looking after. He had a knife and was attempting to take the vehicle. The inquest heard she had taken him in on an emergency 6-day placement for Rotherham Council. A social worker told the hearing earlier he didn't think the placement was a good idea as it could affect another child the Grants were already fostering. Marcia Grant's children have criticised some of the decisions made by Rotherham Council and today spoke after the inquest concluded.
Our mum was dedicated to protecting vulnerable people. She did so with strength, compassion and an unwavering sense of duty. Yet when it mattered the most, the same system she gave so much for did not protect her in return. She deserved better. We all did.
The boy who killed Mrs. Grant can't be identified because of his age. He was sentenced to 2 years youth custody after admitting causing death by dangerous driving. The assistant coroner said today if proper process had been followed, he would not have been placed with the Grant family. The Assistant Coroner, Marilyn Whittle, gave a narrative conclusion today. She said that the circumstances that led to Marcia Grant's death were contributed to by the failings of Rotherham Council. She said those included, but were not limited to, a lack of accurate and complete documentation, failure to communicate risks appropriately, failure to conduct appropriate risk assessments and failing to safeguard those in their care. She will now prepare a prevention of future death reports for the relevant authorities.
We wholly welcome the coroner's findings that our mum was failed on numerous fronts and that these failures directly contributed to her death. However, whilst this leaves us with a sense of vindication, it also serves to reinforce to us how badly she was failed. If not for these failures, our mum would still be here with us today.
Marcia Grant's children say they want to see change to protect other foster carers and their families. Abby Giola, BBC Look North, Sheffield.
Well, in the last few moments, we have received a statement from Rotherham Metropolitan Borough Council. They describe Marcia Grant as a much-loved and highly respected foster carer and offer their deepest condolences to her family. They say they recognise the seriousness of the coroner's findings and will take time to fully reflect on the outcome and consider all appropriate next steps. They say that their focus remains on ensuring that children, families and foster carers across Rotherham receive the support, protection and respect that they deserve. Next tonight, a teacher from a Sheffield school where 15-year-old Harvey Wilgoose was stabbed to death has described the moment he sprinted towards the attack when he heard "knife, knife" over an internal radio. At Sheffield Crown Court, teacher Thomas de Angel was visibly upset as he recounted the moment he phoned 999 and tried to assist Harvey, who'd collapsed after being stabbed through the heart. The defendant, who's 15 and can't be named because of his age, said to another teacher, "I told you, I knew it, I lost it." He admits manslaughter but denies murder. A man in his 70s has died following a collision on the M1 this morning. It happened on the southbound carriageway between junction 41 at Cargate and junction 40 at Ossett. The driver of the Kia EV3 is believed to have suffered a medical episode swerving across the road and colliding with a Volkswagen Tiguan. The driver of the Kia died at the scene. The road has now reopened and witnesses are being urged to contact West Yorkshire Police. Yorkshire Water says the recent hot, dry weather has seen water levels in our reservoirs continue to drop. Over the last week, levels fell by 2.5%, leaving levels at 55%, which Yorkshire Water says is well below the average for this time of year. Reservoir stocks have been declining since January. After one of the driest springs in the region for 132 years, we've just had England's warmest June on record. Next this evening, a man has been sentenced to 17 years behind bars for attempted murder after he used a bow and arrow to attack his wife before stabbing her 6 times. Lorna Carr was on the phone to police when her husband of 5 months, Stephen Carr, chased her around their home in York and then stabbed her. The court heard his wife had forgiven him and wanted to continue their marriage. This report we're about to show you does have some images that you may find upsetting. Olivia Richwald has this.
This is the chilling CCTV which shows 57-year-old Stephen Carr preparing a bow and arrow he would use to try and murder his wife Lorna at their home in Strensall near York. The video also shows Carr taking a knife from a drawer in the kitchen. Later he would stab her 6 times as she was on the phone to the police. Today Stephen Carr was jailed for 17 years with an additional 3 years on licence to protect the public. But the court heard his wife Lorna wanted to continue their marriage, and just today she'd written an impassioned letter to the judge. In it she wrote that he was a loving, caring and compassionate man who was good at his job, worked hard and cared for his mother Betty. But the judge, Simon Phillips KC, said that although he wouldn't impose a life sentence for the attempted murder, he would impose 17 years and an additional 3 years to protect the public.
It's hard to imagine the terror the victim felt, being shot at with a bow and arrows and then been set upon with a knife by her own husband. This was also a harrowing incident for our officers and control room staff who responded to the 999 call, and their professionalism ensured Carr was promptly located and arrested before anything further could happen.
Turn around.
This is the moment Carr was arrested by police. The court heard that Stephen Carr had drunk at least a litre of vodka on the night of the attack in September last year at their home in Strensall. He and his wife Lorna had been arguing about the care of his mother who had advanced dementia. During the argument, he'd shot an arrow from the bow and it had missed her. She'd only just closed a door and it lodged in that door. He then shot 2 more arrows at her in the bedroom, but both missed. He hit her in the face with a bow and said to her, "You're dying tonight." While she was on the phone to the police, she was stabbed 6 times in her back, and that meant she was in hospital for 3 days and lost her job as a result of the injuries because she couldn't work. Despite this, the court heard that she had forgiven her husband of 5 months and wanted to continue their marriage. The court heard that Carr had hoped to keep his mother, who had advanced dementia, out of a care home, but as a result of what happened that night, she had now been moved into care. Olivia Richwald, BBC Look North, Leeds Crown Court.
You're watching Wednesday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. Really good. We are live at the cycle races in Otley as the town centre becomes a racing circuit for one night only. Now, what are your thoughts on...
The hot weather means Penistone Grammar School in Barnsley can relax their school uniform policy. So blazers off for some, but one item that remains at most schools, smart black shoes. This NHS worker wants to change that.
It's a really outdated uniform policy. We, in this day and age, don't always wear formal shoes for office work or any jobs. I look around the road on the streets all the time, watch people, the majority of people have trainers. We've just got to think about this as a developing foot that we're talking about. We ourselves wouldn't go for a long walk in a formal shoe, and these children, some of them have got a long walk to school, then they've got the whole day at school, and then they've got to walk home.
One of the many patients Francesca's worked with over the years is Rachel. Her daughter's been coming to the Children's Hospital since she was 3 years old.
Comfort is important, and it should be for every child, not just children that have medical issues. Comfort, especially while the feet are still forming, especially while their bones are still soft. We always think the whole school's easy, but they're still on their feet, they're still moving around, they're still travelling, they're still going through the same things we are, just in a different setting.
What would your message be to senior leadership teams at schools about footwear?
Children coming out of school with a smile on their face at the end of the day is a much better message than a tidy looking uniform.
So, a straightforward decision for schools to make then? Well, not necessarily.
One of the biggest issues for any school is reasonable adjustments, ensuring that students with perhaps medical needs are catered for, and therefore a reasonable adjustment is fantastic. However, that leads to then the inconsistency and students perhaps questioning why one student can perhaps wear a trainer and another one can't. Therefore, that's something we really feel strongly about, having that consistency and looking into how we can perhaps make that a more level playing field. The second thing is, of course, cost. We might have students who perhaps come in a £400 trainer and another student perhaps who cannot afford a £400 trainer. And the last thing we would want to do as an inclusive school is make another student feel that they're at a disadvantage.
While schools face financial challenges ahead, there are already some possible changes afoot. Simon Thake, BBC Look North, Barnsley.
That, of course, was Simon Thake there talking about a campaign to change the school footwear policy. And actually, my daughter's school have from next term introduced trainers, so changes there afoot as well. Disability campaigners have criticised Labour MPs after last night's vote on welfare reform. The government changed its bill at the last moment to try and get the votes it needed to get through. It was an emotional day in the Commons yesterday and today during Prime Minister's questions. You may have already seen it. Leeds MP Rachel Reeves was crying on the front bench. Our political editor James Vincent reports from Westminster.
It is with a heavy, broken heart that I will be voting against this bill today.
These Dickensian cuts belong to a different era and a different party.
I think that vote will hang like an albatross around their necks.
The government has said it's listened. Some of our MPs say they made them listen. Yesterday it was one of those days in here when you didn't know what was going to happen. Labour MPs had signed on, one by one, to oppose its own government's welfare bill. 18 of ours in total, pretty much half of them. But as changes were made, concessions given in the bill, their numbers were whittled down, leaving only a few actually voting against.
It clearly has shown that this piece of legislation was never fit for purpose, but to keep negotiating the way and whipping parts out of the bill, I think we've all been quite astounded at what has happened. And I think anyone looking on would be saying, why don't you just pause the bill? It would have been the logical thing.
This all means that people getting PIP payments or the health element of universal credit will still get those payments, but future claimants might be affected. The PIP eligibility criteria, the new criteria that was due to come in November next year, has now been delayed until after a review. For those that changed their minds, difficult questions about whether they got it right, whether the government is going to get it right.
I have been pushing privately for these concessions, and that is why I'm here, is to stand up. But my judgment was that the government had listened. They've made significant concessions, and so I now support the wider package of welfare reforms, and I will make sure that disabled people and their carers are listened to in this review.
We filmed with Flick earlier this week. She's a disability campaigner and wasn't happy with what she saw.
I watched the whole debate from start to finish and I'm furiously angry. They didn't listen to disabled people for the Green Paper consultation. So why would this review be any different? I don't think that they have, any intention of really listening to what we have to say. They just pulled the clauses in order to, get the bill over the line.
Next week, the bill is due to be back in front of MPs for the final vote on it in the Commons.
Well, we're going to go to James Vincent now. James, emotions very high in Westminster, and many people have seen the pictures now. What appears that Rachel Reeves is crying.
Yeah, everybody knows that shot, don't they, Amy, of Prime Minister's questions. The Prime Minister at the dispatch box with his front bench team behind him. But it came clear pretty quickly that the focus wasn't going to be on the Prime Minister today. It was somebody in the newsroom next to me that sort of nudged me and said, is the Chancellor crying? And the newsroom went completely silent. Nobody had seen anything like it before. The first thing to say is the Treasury say that it's a private matter, a personal matter, and it might likely be absolutely none of our business. But there was a suggestion that the Chancellor had a few words, maybe a slight argument with the Speaker of the House on the way into the chamber today. Now, whether the Chancellor crying tells us anything about the direction of the Labour Party or whether she'll be in a job next week, who knows? But it was really hard to watch at times. It was when the Conservatives were pressing Keir Starmer on whether he'd back the Chancellor that we saw Rachel Reeves get upset. He didn't overtly, explicitly back Rachel Reeves in the House of Commons, but he did very firmly later on in the day. We might not ever know why Rachel Reeves was crying in the House of Commons today, but one thing is for sure, that her job got a lot harder after the result of yesterday's vote.
James, thank you. Let's move on to a slightly lighter subject now. As Bradford's City of Culture hits the halfway mark, organisers say that more than 1 million people have experienced performances and events. Since the large-scale opening ceremony in January, the event planners say around 40,000 people have taken part, with over 500 local artists and organisations among them. Aisha Iqbal has been gauging reactions so far at Bradford 2025.
A kaleidoscope of culture and a symphony of stories, Bradford 2025 has been a celebration of creativity so far. Organisers say more than 1 million people have already experienced events. That's based on early estimates of footfall, ticket sales and other evaluation. 8 out of 10 residents surveyed say it's made them feel proud of where they live, and out-of-towners are loving the new Bradford vibe too.
I think it's amazing. I'm blown away by the city, and people honestly said to me, why are you going to Bradford? Because unfortunately it hasn't had a very good reputation, and so I explained, and I've been blown away. I think it's amazing. I love what's happened here in the city centre.
It's definitely unique. It's a different vibe, and it's really great. I really appreciate it too. Could use it a lot more other places.
You obviously are on board because you're wearing your City of Culture badge.
Yeah.
So you obviously love and are embracing the concepts of the City of Culture.
Yeah. I'm embracing it, yeah.
But despite all the success, some do worry that not all voices and communities have been fully represented in the cultural output so far, something organisers are keen to address.
It could be better, and better by reaching out for the common folk.
Projects that we're delivering all across the city and district, including our capital projects. For instance, the African Caribbean Achievement Project. We've got capital investment in there. The Peace Museum has had capital investment. The brilliant Bradford Playhouse. They tell the story themselves. We're not finished yet. This is the thing that I am absolutely, here to say. We are not finished yet. We are only halfway through. And if you haven't yet been to Bradford, where have you been? Make your way to Bradford. Come on.
As a slew of summer festivals kick off the second half of this pivotal year, there is a sense that Bradford, so often called a sleeping giant among cities, is finally stirring awake and ready for a soaring future. Aisha Iqbal, BBC Look North, Bradford.
Lots of family events to enjoy over the summer as well there. Well, it was 3 decades in the making. Britpop favourites Shed 7 finally returned to Glastonbury. Local York legends, best known for their 90s anthems like Going for Gold and Chasing Rainbows, performed at the festival for the first time in 30 years. Let's have a quick look at them in action.
Thank you very much.
Oh, looks like a lot of fun. Rick Witter, Shed 7 frontman, is with us. Was it as good as it looked?
It was amazing, Amy. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, thanks for being here. Tell me about it, because it's 30 years since you performed at
Yeah,
Glastonbury.
1995 was the one and only time we've ever done Glastonbury, and then there we are finding ourselves there in 2025. So I did actually say on stage in between songs, maybe we'll be back in 2055 when I'll be 82.
How did it compare to doing it 30 years ago?
Well, a gig's a gig, so you're performing in front of a crowd. I mean,
it's Glastonbury.
Well, of course it's Glastonbury, so it's magical almost, you know. I mean, particularly this time, we were in a big tent, which is great because you know that everyone in there is there to see you for a start. But it was just electric.
So you had a horn section, you had a choir, even had an appearance from Elvis.
We did.
Did you go all out for Glastonbury, or is this what we're normally expecting?
No, obviously you pull out the stops, don't you, for the bigger gigs. So yes, we had the lovely Shed 7 choir, which sounded amazing. We always have the brass with us. And Elvana, he found out that we were playing on the same day as him, and we do this cheeky nod to Elvis at the end of Going for Gold. So he says, can I come and join you on that?
You have had such a renaissance, really, haven't you, the last 12 to 18 months with #1 albums. Do you think you're more popular now than you were when you started 30 years ago?
I think we probably are, to be honest, but it's weird because people do say you're having an amazing year or a couple of years, but we have built this up over about 15 years. We're not spring chickens anymore, so everything that happens that's good, we take it on board, we appreciate it and remember it, because in the 90s we're young kids and with, you know, what's next? You know, yeah, that's happened, what's next? We're dead good.
And a lot of partying, you forget all those things.
And a lot of partying, yes, yes. We still have our moments, but they are moments now rather than days.
If people didn't see you at Glastonbury, there's Manchester and there's Leeds to look forward to.
Yes, which is the next 2 Fridays coming.
Brilliant. Great to see you, Rick.
Lovely, thank you, Amy.
And I do know we partied a little bit at Glastonbury as well this time around. Now, it wouldn't be summer, would it, in Yorkshire without a certain sporting event on the calendar. One of our great traditions is still Otley Town Centre cycle races. Some of the UK's best elite and upcoming cycling talent will be on view tonight. And Nicola Rees is there. I reckon you're in your element there, aren't you, Nick? I know you like cycling.
Oh, this one especially, it's always a massive event on the calendar. The crowds are already huge and we've a couple of hours till we even get to the elite. So really big event. The whole town has been kind of transformed into a racing circuit for one night only. All the pros have raced here over the years, but tonight the focus, as you said, Amy, is very much on Britain's top young riders. We've got some amateurs out there now. We're going to find out a little bit more about tonight with the organiser, Sonia Harper. So first of all, circuit racing. What do you need to be a circuit racer? Because it's quite different to road racing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So you don't need as much endurance, but it's fast. You've got to be really good cornering, really good at riding in a bunch. Yeah, it's about tactics, sometimes about teamwork as well. It's much more exciting and more fast and furious than road racing.
The course is 2K, some hairy corners. Down there, that's a particularly gnarly spot.
There's a final corner into the finish line. Here comes the race now. So this is our leaders coming through now.
Really feel the whoosh as they whiz by.
A little bit of draft, which is a nice bit of cool breeze on a warm evening.
They are flying through there, some really talented riders.
Yeah, these are just the amateurs, but they absolutely fly past, yeah.
How much has been involved in organising this and what does it mean to the town as well? Everybody comes out to support it.
Yeah, they do. It's a really popular event for locals and, you know, cycling fans come from, you know, all over the place, but lots of locals come and really enjoy the evening. And it's an important race, you know, in terms of the national calendar. It's such a great experience for young riders to get experience on a circuit like this, especially in front of crowds with a great atmosphere.
We've got some amazing local riders as well, haven't we? Robin, who is from Leeds, is racing tonight. She's one to watch in the women's race at 7:35.
Yeah. And then I think Matt Bostock's one to watch in the men's race. He won last year. He's a great sprinter, great crit rider. He's one to watch in the men's race.
And then this is stage 1 in the circuit. Friday it moves on to Ilkley, so lots of action in Yorkshire to watch.
Yeah, Yorkshire's always the best county, isn't it, where everything's happening.
We are biased, but I have to agree. So it's a completely free event as well, and you can get really close to the action here. You can feel them whizzing by. Women's race at 7:35, the elites, you've got to see that, and then an hour later for the men. Come along if you can.
Nick, thank you. I'm sure you noticed there are a couple of technical issues with the sound there, but we just about got the atmosphere, didn't we, and the gist of what was going on. Hello, Mr. Hudson. What is going on with the weather?
Well, we had a few showers this morning, didn't we? But it's a lovely end to the day. This picture, I think, captures things beautifully. It was taken this morning, some menacing-looking showers. Looking across a very low Butterley Reservoir near Home Firth, but skies did brighten up very nicely, and just a little bit further down the Pennines there, across the South Yorkshire Pennines, that was Penistone this afternoon, looking very nice indeed. If you've got any pictures, keep them coming in. The addresses are on your screen right now. So tomorrow looks a lovely summer's day. Most of us will be dry and bright, with some sunshine, just a very small chance of catching an isolated shower. The dry weather courtesy of this ridge of high pressure, which will be with us through Friday. The best of the sunshine on Friday in the morning, a few showers later. Now, this weather front will bring a bit of patchy rain Friday night, and then the weekend does look more mixed. It's breezy, a little cooler, with sunny spells and scattered showers. But again, I think those showers will be few and far between, and certainly eastern areas will see a good deal of fine weather. There's that weather that brought the lively showers for a time today, but it's been followed by some lovely clear weather. So this evening will be fine, with plenty of sunshine around. Then overnight, a lot fresher than of late. That's great news for those that have been struggling to sleep. We're looking at lowest temperatures, a little on the cool side, actually down to 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. So tomorrow's high water times then: Scarborough, a lovely day, 10:48, Bridlington at 11:10. So it's a beautiful start to Thursday morning, with lots of blue sky and some sunshine. As temperatures rise, we will see some fair weather cloud bubbling up. So as we head into the afternoon, although it will be dry, skies will turn partly cloudy, but there will be some decent spells of sunshine around. Temperatures very close to normal, 21, 22, something of that order is normal for early July. Thursday evening looks fine and quite sunny. As for Friday, a fine start with some sunshine, the risk of the odd shower later, but it stays dry. And then some patchy rain Friday night. It leaves the weekend a little bit mixed. Sunshine, a few scattered showers, but once those showers clear on Monday, it looks like that fine weather will return as we head through next week. That's the forecast.
It's still lovely, isn't it,
beautiful,
even in those low temperatures. Thanks for that, Paul. Well, we are back tonight at 10:30.
Yeah.
It's me, so I better remember what time we're on. I'll see you then, 10:30. Bye-bye for now.